Hi, this is Adam Wilbert from Cartogaya Custom Maps, and I just wanted to go through a quick way that we can use the Appearance panel in Adobe Illustrator to create better looking text halos around text objects that we might use on our maps. And so right now I'm just going to go ahead and create a new text object here, and I'll go ahead and switch my font to, let's say, Fruit du Jour. And I'm just going to put in a little bit of text here. That looks good. Okay. So what I want to do here is create a halo around this text object, and what we can do is use the Appearance panel to add another fill to our object, and then we'll expand it using some of the effects up here in the Effects menu. So let's go ahead and add a new fill to my text object. I'll use this button here on the Appearance panel to add new fill, and by default it's going to appear in front. I'll go ahead and change the color so we can see what's happening. So it's adding a new fill in front of my numbers here. But what I can do is drag this fill and put it behind the characters, or behind these numbers, by clicking and dragging down in the Appearance panel and dropping it below the word characters here. So I'll drop it there, and that new fill, that red fill, moves behind the black characters of my text. What I can do now is select that fill and apply a transformation to it. If I go up to the Effects menu, Convert to Shape, and then Rectangle, Adobe Illustrator will create a rectangle around my object. It'll expand that shape out to a rectangle. So let's go ahead and change this size a little bit. It's a little bit big here. So I'll make it 2 points by 2 points. And what this will do is add an extra 2 points around my text object. We'll go ahead and say OK to that. And there's my basic halo. Now the problem with text objects is that the text is actually using this whole text block. So what's happening when I'm using a font is that Illustrator is using the full height of that font, from the highest ascender to the lowest descender of every letter in that font, in order to calculate the size of the text box, and then it's adding 2 points of extra space around it right now. What I'd really like to do is kind of even that up a little bit, so I don't have so much space below my text here, and to even it up left and right, top and bottom. What we can do is take our text object and redefine the bounding box. Instead of going from the highest to the lowest descender, or from the highest ascender to the lowest descender of my font, what I want to do is create the text box to be tight around the current letters that I've got. And we can do that by applying another transformation to our characters themselves. So in my Appearance panel, I'll select the characters. I'll go to the Effects panel, the Effects menu. We'll go down to Path, and we'll say Offset Path. Now, by default, Illustrator is going to put in an offset here, and if I change that to 0 and say Preview, you'll see what happens. The path is getting offsetted just tight around exactly the characters that I'm using. So I'll go ahead and say OK. And now, the secondary fill that's behind my letters is being expanded 2 points beyond that. So 2 points below the bottom of the 0, 2 points above, 2 points to the right, and then 2 points to the left of the 4. I can move it around, I can edit it, I can change the text here, and Illustrator will update the halo, or the box, behind it. Let's go ahead and take this another step further. We'll create a graphic style out of this. So I select that object and then say New down here in my Graphic Styles panel. I'll say New Graphic Style and add that to my Graphic Styles panel. And now I can make copies of this object. I can apply this same graphic style to multiple text objects, and I can change the font or whatever I want here, and it'll still maintain that 2 points of extra space around each of my letters. So if I change it to, say, a condensed font, or maybe even a light condensed, it'll maintain that 2 points of extra space around it. Now let's say I want to change my object here. Maybe I'm not happy with this color red, and I've got a whole bunch of text objects. Maybe I'm doing a whole map, and I've got thousands of these scattered around the map. Now do I have to go through and select each one of these individually and change them, or highlight all of them at once and change them? No, since I have it set as a graphic style, I can update them all very quickly. So let's go ahead and create this one. Now maybe I want to change this one here, and I'll change the color of that background fill to, let's say, how about this apple green color. So if I want to apply this color now to all of the other text objects, all I need to do is replace this graphic style with the new and updated one. If I click on my text box and say New Graphic Style, it'll add the new green version to my Graphic Styles panel. And at this point, I can just Option-click or Alt-click on a PC, and we'll drag the green version and drop it on top of the red one. So if I hold down the Option key and move it across, I can drag and drop it on top of it, and what will happen is it'll get replaced with the green version, and it'll update all of the other text objects that is applied to. So I can go through and click on it and see that they're still using that graphic style. And in fact, this first one, or this one that I just changed, is also using that graphic style. So I can actually get rid of this one now. It's a duplicate. And I've updated my graphic styles so they're all consistent throughout the entire map.